안녕하세요. 해링턴 파크 시의원 준청입니다. 오늘은 미셸 한과 함께 버건 카운티 커미셔너로 올 11월 선거에 출마하시는 공화당 후보 더그 홀든 씨를 만나서 그의 이야기를 들어봤으면 합니다. 안녕하세요. Well done.
Well done. Okay. So, Dr. Holden, would you like to introduce yourself to our Korean American viewers?
Sure.
Viewers?
So my name is Doug Holden. I am an orthopedic surgeon. I'm a father. I'm a husband. My wife is Jean Wang. She's Chinese American. We have 3 lovely children, 26, 21, and 14. We've been married 27 years. My profession is I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I'm the managing partner of Garden State Orthopedics. We have 6 offices throughout the state of New Jersey. I'm also a veteran of the United States Army. I served in Iraq, 2 tours of duty, taking care of our soldiers as an orthopedic surgeon. And I'm a community advocate. I lecture on addiction. That's one of my passions is the heroin addiction, so I lecture on addiction. Mm-hmm. And I also serve on a couple of committees in my town.
Wow, that's great. I see that you're a very busy man, already running several medical practices in Bergen County as an orthopedic surgeon. What made you to run for the commissioner?
The reason I decided to run for commissioner is I think that the government should be run as a business, and it's not being run as a business. And as a business owner and a managing partner with the understanding of fiscal responsibility, I have a very firm grasp of how to make something profitable, how to cut costs where you need to. And our government is out of control, not only locally, but federally. It's out of control. The spending is out of control. There's no oversight. And I'm a firm believer that you need people in government that are not there because they need a job. They're there because they need to make the life better for everyone else. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, too many of our politicians, it's a job for them. And they're looking for whatever they can do to get to the next level in their political career. And that's not me.
Okay. Bergen County residents are paying very high property tax. How would you address those concerns if you're elected?
So I think the property tax is one of the major things I hear about on the campaign trail. Right. I think that the first thing that has to be done is the budget has to be analyzed to see where is all the money going. Our budget is a $750 million budget in Bergen County. Where is that money going? There seems to be no oversight, no transparency. I think the first thing to do is to look and see where is the money going. Where can things be costs be cut, and perhaps divert the money to other areas that it's needed. So you don't really need to raise the taxes. You're just utilizing the money appropriately, which is not happening right now.
Right. So the first thing you want to do is monitor the budget.
Monitor the budget, analyze it. You can go online and see the budget and you can see line items, but you don't really know what those line items are. You need to dig deeper and see really what it is, and what is the service that is being provided. Mm-hmm. And that would be the first thing that we would do. And I know that I've spoken to the Todd Coliguar, who's running for county executive. That's one of our ambitions.
Right, that's great. That's great.
So, I could see that you are a common sense approach, and that's something that's that what we are all looking for when it comes to taxes. But I'm going to present you with another question about hate crimes in New Jersey. There has been a spike in reported hate crimes in New Jersey, which have been on the rise for the last 3 years. Hate against the AAPI communities especially have risen during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet, data indicates that many incidents are not reported due to fear from the victim. Do you have any plans to help Korean American residents of the county? And would you also explain how the county ought to address these hate crimes?
Absolutely. So I can tell you, as the husband of an Asian American, that hits me home. And I will tell you that I'm a firm believer in education. And I believe that the reality is no one is born prejudiced. It's a learned behavior. And the only way you're going to solve the problem long term is through education about different cultures. The short term, what needs to be done is the crimes for hate crimes need to be more severe. And it's not just hate crimes, but unfortunately, our laws protect the criminals, not the victims. And that pendulum needs to swing back the other way. So those are two things. And I think, again, coming back to education is the importance of educating the victims why it is important to report their crimes and when it happens to them, because otherwise it's just going to perpetuate and continue. Again, long-term is education, cultural awareness, short-term, making the crimes more severe penalties.
I am very happy to hear about the education and the long-term goal as well as the short-term goals. And New Jersey is one of the most diverse states in the United States and actually came in fourth for the most diverse U.S. states recently. And New York came in fifth, which I was surprised. And Bergen County holds over 16% of the Asian American population. Now, how would you find ways to normalize diversity in Bergen County?
Again, I think it comes back to education. So my goal is twofold. One is, again, it's a short term, and the other is a long term. I think the short term goal, which should be a yearly event, is that we have several parks and golf courses in Bergen County. These should be utilized to host International Day, where people can go and learn about different cultures, sample the food of different cultures, and learn why people dress the way they do, act the way they do, because it's the only way people are going to understand why people are different than them. And that should be an ongoing thing. Long term, I think that we have the ability to form museums, cultural diversity museums with our parks and our golf courses where people can go and learn and see the culture displayed on a permanent basis. And you could have cooking classes there. People can learn. Everybody loves to go have Korean food, but not everyone knows how to eat it. Or Chinese food, or Indian food. And you could have where people can go and not only learn about the culture, but they can also learn how to cook a dish of that food. Again, it all comes back to education. And the reality is, as a surgeon, I operate on people of every culture, and the reality is everybody is the same. Everybody is the same. That's the reality.
I think it's a really wonderful approach because you are providing opportunity for Bergen County residents to interact with one another in a positive manner. But not only that, let's invest on each other.
That's exactly right.
And I think investing on, instead of just investing on roads and these things, let's invest on culture. Let's invest on one another.
Yes.
And that's perhaps the way to normalize diversity in Bergen County. I think that's a very innovative idea, and I think that will be definitely right steps towards normalizing diversity here. Now, I'm going to talk about something that a lot of residents in Bergen County is struggling with, which is flooding. Now, flooding has become more common in Bergen County, unfortunately, and many families suffered greatly during Ida, and many municipalities are struggling with flood prevention. As the Bergen County Commissioner, what would you do to help mitigate these disasters?
Again, here there is a short-term and a long-term solution. The bottom line is, with all the development in Bergen County, there's very poor floodwater management. The water has nowhere to go. Well, let me back up. The long term, which is the only solution that's going to work, and I've spoken to engineers about this, the only solution is the river has to be dredged, the entire river. the entire river. It's the only way. It's never been done. So there's hundreds of years of... It is possible, and I've spoken to engineers about it. Absolutely, it's possible. And they've said it's possible. And they said it's never been done. There's hundreds of years of sediment on the river, so the river's not as deep as they used to be, so they can't handle the water. This is something that has to be funded by the state and federal government, and there has to be grants made for them. You have to apply for them, but it's something that has to be done. And I have another idea of ways to help pay for that besides just the grants. I think that if you approach the insurance companies that are paying all of these flood damages, they have vested interest as well. They might be able to pay a part of it because in the long run, they're going to make money or save money by not having to dish out all of these settlements to people. That's the long term. The short term is that we have these reservoirs, and some of the solutions that people say is to anticipation of a flood is to lower the reservoir. The problem with that is you worry about if you don't have rain, are people going to run out of water? And I get it. So that it cannot be a long-term, but it certainly can be a short-term solution until the long-term solution is undertaken. Now, I know that that's been suggested in the past, but there's been a lot of pushback from the water authority. But I think that, the problem is that it seems to me in government, a lot of politicians, they don't know how to get the job done. As a business owner, I know how to get the job done. I don't take no for an answer. I know how to get the job done, and I'm not going to listen to another authority tell me that it can't be done. You have to make it happen because residents are suffering. And it's every town I go to, I hear the same problem with flooding. And nothing's done about it.
Yeah, I have a friend who has warehouses, Hackensack, Lodi area. They got flooded, and then their merchandise, all damaged, and it's very difficult for them.
Yes, it is.
Also, business people.
Yes, it is.
Well, Dr. Holden, I think your approach is really a physician type of a very scientist-like approach, where it's a long-term approach and the short-term approach, and I think you are absolutely right in terms of dredging. And Bergen County is nothing but a watershed.
Yes.
And the storm water has to go somewhere. Right. And then without proper dredging, the water has no direction to go except overflowing into our basements. And
basements, businesses.
That's right. And, but one of the great problem is the capital cost.
Yes.
And it's overwhelming for local communities to handle. That's why we need the leadership from the Bergen County to organize and coordinate this effort and to have a long-term solution. So we are not only mitigating the problems, but that we are preventing it.
That's right.
So I'm glad to hear that.
The local towns cannot handle this problem. It's impossible. They cannot do it because you cannot do something in your local town that is going to stop all the water from the other towns coming to you because the basis of the problem has not been addressed. In medicine, it's very simple. You give a medication for high blood pressure, but you got to find out why does the patient have. That's the short term, but long term, are they overweight? Is it their diet? And you got to solve it long term. I mean, that's the approach I take with everything. Unfortunately, again, our government doesn't seem to be able to think outside the box and think that way.
Well, I think you're definitely understanding the problem really well, and also have plans to prevent. So the residents will not have to suffer, first of all. And I'm very glad that you have a very thoughtful approach to these issues. And I would like to thank you for your time and spending time with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. 오늘 함께 자리해 주신 Dr. Doug Holden 후보님께 진심으로 감사드립니다.
감사합니다.